Hey everyone, I'm back again, my beautiful face, to continue talking about the series of videos to help you relocate from moving from Africa to the Western country. That's why we are here. So first of all, my name is Grace Efezakai, and I'm Nigerian. I moved to Canada in the year 2017, October. And I've been here like going to 6 years now. It's been amazing, but like in my first year, I didn't find it funny. I thought I'd made the wrong decision to move here. And that was because, but what kept me going was my why. And I've been able to grow my career to, yes, there's still room for growth, but so far, so good. I'm happy with where I am, and I'm also happy about where I'm going. And one of the things I keep seeing is I keep seeing immigrants coming into the country in Canada, and then I keep seeing them maybe making the same mistakes I made or struggling to get like the a career that fits, not just being underemployed. Right, so that's why I founded Neema Careers. After I, because of my career, I've had people who helped me, amazing people. My current role was through networking. I got that role in 2021, and this is 2023. And after they helped me, and I thought, I should actually focus more on doing things like this. So that's how we started doing. I started doing a lot of free reviews or resumes, and I don't know, that was like a new hobby I discovered. I love resume writing. Like I love it. It's so interesting to me. I watch tons of videos about it. I read a lot of books about it. I've helped over 100 professionals about it. And in the previous video, we talked about how to create a compelling resume, talk about the basics, things to take out, things we debunk a lot of resume myths. So you can watch that video on the channel. You can even see, I'll put the link down below as well. And today we're going to be continuing about on how to create a compelling resume. And what I'm really going to focus here today is storytelling. Like you have to be able to tell stories. You don't have to be a Chimamanda Adichie or Elnathan John, or which of the favorite authors do you have? Tayari, is it Tayari Jones? I can't remember her name now. I really love that writer. She wrote this novel, was it American Marriage? I think it's Tayari Jones. I really like that book. So yeah, there are also storytelling to your day-to-day activities. At work, when you're presenting, you need storytelling as a skill, right? And in your resume, storytelling too is also very important. So I can't really wait to get in so that we'll continue with this. And then the next video, we're going to be talking about how to tailor a resume to a role. So we'll do like a life of a resume. I mean, life of I'll open like different job descriptions. And if you're interested, you can send me a job that you want to apply for. Send it to you can put it in comments in the you can comment you can sorry put the link in the comments, and I'll probably in the next video I'll be able to use those links to show you how you can tailor a resume to that particular role. I will talk about the ATS, the applicant tracking system. How do they track systems? Because when you apply for a job, like companies don't have that time. You put out a job posting and there are 200 applications. Nobody has time to be going through 200 resumes to know who to call. So they have an applicant tracking system that kind of tracks keywords. Like, okay, what are the people that have maybe 80% or 70% of these keywords, right? So we're going to talk about that in the next video. But today is for storytelling. How do you come up with your bullet points, and how do you put finishing touches around your resume? So I really can't wait, and I hope that the other videos, I'm really excited about doing this, and I'm also very excited about the other videos that are also going to okay, yeah, okay, all right. So now you can see my screen. So how to create a compelling resume part two. I love resumes. Like I just feel like resume is something that everybody should enjoy, everybody on earth should enjoy. But it's so good, like writing resumes. So yeah, that's some of the services that we cover. Resume revamp. We can also do resume. We can also review your resume, interview prep, LinkedIn profile optimization, job search strategies. You can send us an email with your current resume to consult@nemacareers.com. And please note that this is a paid service. Thank you. And we can check our website. Our YouTube here is Nima Careers. And we're also active on Instagram at Nima Careers. So now let's go into resume storytelling tips. One of the things, so I've seen resumes for days, right, in the past 2 years. And one of the things that I've noticed about resumes is that it doesn't read like a list. I mean, it shouldn't read like a list of job descriptions. So for example, I always use the example of a teacher. If I tell you, oh, let's say I meet you now, your name is Moyo. I'm like, oh, Moyo. Oh, nice to meet you, Moyo. And Moyo asks me, oh, what do you do? I'm like, oh, and I say, oh, thank you. Sorry, I said thank you. My name is, I'm sorry, I said my name. I say, oh, Moyo, I'm a teacher. I teach high school students biology. Like, oh, that's interesting. Biology was my favorite subject in school. When you think of me as a teacher now, for example, writing a resume, and I now start putting teach student biology, create biology curriculum, like that's what you're supposed to do, right? That's what's expected of you. So a lot of times people's resume just read like a list of job descriptions. So now you have to personalize your resume. That's why I don't believe in people lying. I don't believe in people just taking somebody's resume and copying it. You need to be able to focus like now and say, if you're a teacher, how many students did you teach? When you say you develop curriculum, how did it, what was the impact, on the students? So those are the things that you kind of think about when you're writing your resume. So your resume should not be like a list of job descriptions. And like I've talked about in the first video, no kota words for go getter, result driven, result oriented. You don't sorry, I say you don't do is like it's enough. You don't do is Nigerian pidgin English. I shouldn't be using that here, but let's just make a point that is enough. We've seen enough of that. I'm sure recruiters are tired of seeing go getter, hard worker, team player, communication skills on people's resumes. So like now on somebody's resume, let's say, oh, draft reform policies for states in Nigeria. What kind of reform policies? How many states? Right? So put it there. When we were drafting, are you the only one that drafted the reform policies? You will like I say co-created reform policies for 36 states in Nigeria in collaboration with the World Bank, something like that. Collaborated with 5 World Bank consultants in developing state reform acts for coffee plantations across 36 states. Perfect. So now we'll talk about when you want to write your resume. And I remember, I think in the first or no, in the job search strategy video, I talked about how you should gather your career story, right? So these are the things. These are some of the tips that you could use to develop that for yourself. So now, first, you can ask yourself. One of the first thing I would like to say is to quantify as much as possible. Give people a scope of what you've done. So now when you say, oh, I'm an account manager, let's say at the bank, I manage customers' accounts. How many customers' accounts were you managing? Oh, I manage a portfolio of 100 customers' accounts. Good. You can now go further and talk about maybe like, oh, these customers were individuals and corporate organizations in the energy sector. It gives us more story. So when you think of storytelling, you think it's something big and outrageous. No, storytelling is very simple, very, very simple thing for you to do, right? Everybody is a storyteller, right? Forget about the say you don't have to be the best writers in the world, but for your resume, you can be the best writer for your own resume. And that's what this video is here for. So quantify as much as possible, right? Now, what have you been recognized for? I know, yes, okay, maybe you don't even like your job, but what have you been recognized for? Maybe one time they gave you an award in the office, or they complimented you. Maybe a client said something about you. Think about it. Just write it down first. Don't think of a bullet point yet. Just write it down. Or maybe there's a particular time when you had a difficult client, or maybe you're an auditor, you're supposed to go and audit a company, and then the CFO and the accounting team, the whole accounting team resigned, leaving maybe one junior accountant there. And then you have to do your audit, you have to meet the deadline, and then you're able to, even with the junior accountant, you're able to do it and get the audit done on time. And then the maybe like the CEO, like, oh great, and they tell your partner, your accounting firm, that, oh, maybe let me use somebody, Brian did a great job. That's something. Write it down. How many people do you lead or collaborate with? So let's say you don't have to be a leader. When people think lead, they think, oh, I must be a leader, I must be a leader. I must have leadership in my title. I must have a manager in my title. Everybody is a leader. How many people do you lead or collaborate with? Put it there. Like maybe you are in, let's say you're in IT audits, and you people want to do something, some developing your application thing, and then you collaborate with like 10 software developers. Put it there, write it there. Who do you collaborate with? Do you collaborate with the cross-functional team? Just write it down. When you say you're in marketing, or let's say marketing, yes, how are you able to contribute to the bottom line of the company? How much sales did you make? So if it's confidential for you to put sales, I mean, put figures in your resume, that's great. But one thing I want you to know is that be very careful with confidentiality, so that so I'm very for, especially for companies that are not publicly listed, you can just put a range like, will help this employer included to maybe 100 to whatever amount you want to put. But one thing I want you to know is that because now they are, let's say you're applying for a remote role or you're planning to relocate, you're coming from Nigeria and you're coming to Canada, you can't put 30 million naira because they don't speak in naira language. In Canada, it's Canadian dollars. So you may want to convert that and do a ballpark figure of what 30 million naira means in Canadian dollars. So think about that. How many clients do you serve? As in maybe an auditor. Let me use auditor again. And you say you are an auditor, you've been maybe you worked for KPMG for like 3 years. How many in the course of those 3 years, how many clients were you able to audit? What industries did they operate in? Those are the kind of things you can use. Just write it down. Like at this point, this is just storytelling tips. You don't have to start thinking of don't think of how to structure the bullet points yet. Just be writing everything down. Now, what makes you most proud about your job? Like, what do you like most? Yeah, it's almost the same thing. What do you like most about your job? What makes you happy? Write it down. Those are the things that are going to give you, so that even when if your current resume is reading like a list of job descriptions, these storytelling tips that you're writing is going to guide you on how to make it revamped, like make it look much better than it is right now. you know then think about the time when you handled a difficult client or project. Very important. Like, I know sometimes maybe during that period you were like, I'm done with this job, I'm going to resign. That could even give you a bullet point. So I'll tell you about my client. She's my friend, my very good friend. She got a job as an, is it account, I can't remember what it was now, like head of finance. We say financial manager or financial reporting manager at this company. And I think she was there in the maybe first 2 months. And so the tax regulatory body came to lock up the office because they had not paid taxes for like 7 years. They needed to do an audit. And said that she was new to the job. She didn't even know about all these things. So the whole of company was locked down. So she had to be going to the FRS office. I mean, so FRS is like the apex tax regulatory body in Nigeria. The equivalent of it here is CRA. So she had to be going there. She had to be going there to the office to report there for like 2 weeks, negotiated with them on how they were going to pay back they did a back audit. So they came up with a ballpark figure. She was able to negotiate with them how they were going to prepay that over the couple of 2 years. And they came back to open the office. She said she was frustrated, but this was like a new job, right? So you think, oh, that difficult project, but we're able to put it on our resume and say something around negotiated with the apex tax regulatory body on XYZ. So that's a great bullet point for you to have. That what brings, you should be able to have a story that when you go for an interview, you say, tell me more about this. Tell me more about this. So another client of mine, she talked about, there was this chocolate factory she was going to audit, and the books were just like, they didn't have records. Like if you have worked in audit before and you go to a client that doesn't have proper records, you know how frustrating it can be. So this particular chocolate factory, they didn't have records for like up to 5 years, and you want to help them because they were trying to sell off. So we have to help them package this the accounting for this company. How do you do that? That was your, like, the job was stressful, but they did it. So that is great. And when she put it there, when she the last interview that she went for her current role, they asked her, tell us more about the chocolate factory. So this be able to give them stories, rather than storytelling helps. It helps a lot. It gives people an idea of what you have done. And back to the tax regulatory body. So now when you now put, for example, if I'm coming from Nigeria and I put FRS on my resume, nobody knows what FRS is here. So even when you can just put apex tax regulatory body, or you could put Federal Inland Revenue Services, and then in bracket you can put CRA equivalent. That's maybe if it's in UK, I think UK is called IRS. I'm not sure now. So I put IRS equivalent. Let's people have an idea, just like the naira to dollar conversion. Give people, let's speak in their language, right? So now, remember one time how do you motivate your team? Let's say you're a team lead, there's pressure everywhere. You have deadline, you have project. How are you able to handle that? These are one of the things. Write it down first. What about the time when you improve the process? Let's say, for example, when we want to get information from clients, we have to do things manually. And we're like, no, you know what? I'm going to create something with Power BI that we can create this Power BI dashboard to track things, real time. That's a great point. You can get that that's a point for you to add in your just write it down first before you start thinking of how to flesh the bullet points. Remember the time when you stepped in for your boss, the manager was not around, she went on leave impromptu, or your manager went for paternity leave, you stepped in for the, or I say paternity, yeah, paternity leave, yes, in Canada you do that, or let's say in Nigeria maternity leave for 3 months and you had to step in. That's a great point. Write it down in your on your whatever you're writing all the stories. So that's what is going to guide you in when you're writing your bullet points. So now when you've written all these things, I'll go back into the fictional resume I created to show you how you can start putting these things together. So right now, when you gather your storytelling, gather with what the things that you do on a day-to-day basis, you can start talking about your bullet points. Start a bullet point with an active verb. Like Harvard has a list. I'll put the link in the caption. I mean, is it caption they call it now? Sorry, I'm new to YouTube. So I'll put the link in the let's say caption or below, Sha. You see it. I'm going to put the link where you can see Harvard has this guide, a lot of guides you can see, but like there's this, I use the Harvard one a lot because it has a lot of verbs. So when you're just trying to think of how do you start a bullet point. So now you can say, oh, like think about it, start with I, but never you know, like I said, never use personal pronouns in your resume. So you can say I collaborated. So start with collaborated. I managed. I supervised a team of 10 auditors. So remove the I and start with the verb. So when you think about the personal pronoun in your head of I, it just helps you fixing the next action verb to follow. So make sure that you don't use weak verbs like assisted. Rather than saying assisted, you still did the work. You are still the person. Right? You can say collaborated, or you can say partnered. Don't put assisted or supported or help. We didn't hire you to be a helper. Use active strong verbs. So I'll put the Harvard guide for you. And make sure that your bullet point doesn't go above 2 lines. Like why? Why will you guys start put? I've seen people that write essay, OSA, 5 lines. I'm like, what are you trying to say here? Like I said, resume writing, being concise is a goal, is a skill, and it speaks well of you when you are concise. Rather than when you have one bullet point that is, you see one bullet, I've seen bullet point 5 lines. Please, you don't need all of that. So there are a lot of things that people talk about, like maybe like font size, all those things. You can always talk about that one much later. But your bullet point has to, and your bullet point is where the meat of your resume is. So I wish I could I'll show you the fictional resume I showed you in the previous video. But before I do that, let me go to the next slide that talks about, okay, yeah, so the resume video, we'll talk about this one much later. There was a part, okay, yeah, finishing touches of a resume. I like this verse in the Bible, Song of Solomon 2 verse 50. It said, catch the little foxes before they ruin our vineyard and bloom. So now you've done your storytelling, you've written everything down. They're trying to like put everything together. Now you've put everything together. You've done all your contact information, volunteer engagement, all those great things. You put them together. Make sure that you watch out for the little foxes because they can ruin everything. It's like going on a date and you're like, oh my god, this date is going so well. And let's say the guy is just really looking good, and next thing the guy just says something and it just ruins your entire experience. Or you see somebody like really looking well dressed, like, oh my god, this lady looks bang, and then you just go and realize that there's a big palm oil stain on her dress. You just get like, what's that? So, or you go to a house, the house is so beautiful, like, oh my god, I can't wait to buy this house. Or you want to buy a house, I can't wait to, and you enter the house and realize that there's a very bad smell in the house. It just puts you off. It's a little thing that can be fixed, but it just kind of puts you off. So be very careful. I don't know who's going to read your resume. I've had, in my current role, I do a lot of communication updates. like writing like emails to clients, and I get approvals for, there was time I used to get approvals from like three MDs before I send it out. So I didn't know what the three MDs like. There was one, if there's a small formatting issue, she's not going to read it. She'll say, Grace, work on the formatting before I look at it. Somebody else might just say the only thing maybe they saw one small typo and they're already pissed off about the whole thing. So you don't know who's going to read your resume. Some people may not be bothered about format, but they may see a little typo and they are just put off by your resume. So you've done all this great work. Your resume is not like a vineyard in bloom. So be very careful, please. Look out for those little foxes. And what are they? Formatting. Your formatting has to be very consistent. Don't do anything anyhow. Be very careful with how you do your formatting. If you're not very good with Microsoft Word, I would advise you that you watch YouTube videos. You watch YouTube videos that are going to really help you, and try to avoid using Canva templates, because I've seen some people's resume. They say, "Where did you get this template from?" Because everything looks scattered, right? So be very careful with formatting. Spelling is very important. I know Microsoft Editor helps with spellings, but it's not. Sometimes I just feel like they don't really, it's not 100% efficient in my opinion. So watch for grammar, punctuations. Maybe there's where there's supposed to be a period, you put a full a comma. Be very careful with that. Proofread it. Read when you're done with everything, read it out aloud. When you read it aloud, like you'll be able to find your mistakes. You'll be able to see, this thing doesn't make sense. You quickly edit it. Another thing you have to do is you have to give somebody else to review, because you might be the superstar. Superstar writers also have their own editors. So you too, when you write your resume, give somebody else, oh, please can you help? Ask a friend to help you review. Even if somebody like think that the person is too strict, those are the people you should even give to help you review your resume. Be very careful with your resume document name. So now your name is, let's say, Brian Adegoke. That's your name. You can just say Brian Adegoke resume. Maybe Brian Adegoke dash resume. Don't go and start putting Brian Adegoke version 2, Brian Adegoke draft 2, Brian Adegoke updated version, Brian Adegoke 2021, Brian Adegoke 2022 version 3. Make it simple and make it clean. Those little things matters, right? And going back to the spelling of grammar and punctuation. So imagine now that you're going to go and put on your resume. Please don't ever put on your resume and you pay attention to detail. No, no, please don't put it. But like, I should be able to look at your resume and say, this person pays attention to detail. I don't have to pay attention to detail written down clearly, explicitly on your resume. So be very careful. Confidentiality concerns, be very careful with that as well. Especially for a company that is not listed. And I'm going to go and put that you help the company with their revenue. The company makes revenue $100,000. If the company is very tight with all those kind of information, be very careful how you portray that. And also, let's say for example, you are an auditor. I'll say auditor. And then you want to go and when you go to you're able to do focus on your auditor, looking for how to catch fraud. They're not going to start saying how you were catching fraud in your clients. Be very careful, please. You don't want to. It's a marketing document. You're not supposed to speak bad about your employer or your clients, even in an interview. Even if they were the worst set of people on earth, they're the most toxic. You can't speak bad about an employer, and you have to also make your employer look good too on your resume. So there has to be consistency in your font size. If you're using font 10 or font 11, good. But make sure that your name at the top of your resume should have the highest font size. Your bullet point symbol, if you're using dot, 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 please continue using dot, dot, dot. Don't, I said dot, dot, dot. There's one that looks like a cycle bullet point. Don't go and start putting dot, 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 and then you put another one. Like there's another one that looks like this, like this greater than sign. So be very careful with that. Leave a lot of white spaces. Like let us see spaces. Let us be able to follow. Like, okay, this person is talking about our experience. So you're talking about you work for PwC. Now you work for Cadbury. Let there be a space, a white space showing the separation. Let us be able to follow what you're reading. Follow what you've written, and watch out for technical jargons and employers acronym. This is very important. Even in interview, when I help people prep for interview, I notice this a lot. So you're talking about on your, let's say, because you collaborated with the RPO team. We don't know what RPO is. RPO can be maybe risk professional something, or risk professional, maybe RPT, risk professional team. You're putting RPO. What is RPO? We don't know our we don't work for your company, right? So you just put it there. If you're so putting, just say with the internal auditors or with the IT auditors. Don't gonna start putting acronyms that we don't know outside of your company. Be very careful with that. And also sometimes we see someone who somebody, I remember when I was in an interview prep with someone, she was like, oh, the banner. I'm like, what is banner? Like, what that what we call it is like just an in-house word that we don't like. I'm not in your company, and you need at this point you need how do I put it? There's no time for somebody to come and start saying, okay, let's call her and ask her what she meant by RPO. No, let your resume be able to be read by if I saw I believe for IT people, I know that they do that a lot where they put a lot of jargons. Do that the first person that's going to review your resume may not be in your field. So yeah, if you're applying for a software developer role, yes, it's good to have the technical expertise and the technical language of your profession. But when somebody, the first person to review your resume may be in HR. Another person doesn't know jack about whatever it is that you're doing. But the person should be able to see at a glance, like, okay, this is an idea what this person is talking about. So yes, I know you want people to know the technical jargons, but be very careful that at least even people that are in your future, oh, this person knows their stuff. And people outside your future also feel it that this person knows their stuff. So I'll stop sharing and I'll try to open another Dalola Mandesa resume again to share with you. Let's share this Lola Mendasa resume. So be very careful. Leave white spaces. See, there's white space all over here. You can see the work, even this work experience, there should be a space. I'm still going to work on this fictional resume so that I can be able to share it for you guys. I'll keep on working on it. There should be a space between the work experience and general technology so that we can see that line space. Or okay, you know what, let me close this. Let me stop presenting. And let me try to see if I can get the Word version. Just give me one moment. Okay, let me take it here. Let me take it to my second screen. Okay, so now let me share. So yeah, you can see now that there's Lola Mendesa. So Lola's is 16. You can make it bigger. There should be white spaces here. White spaces. I want to see a lot of white spaces on this resume. Enter here. Enter here. White spaces as well. Oh, okay. It's already going to the next page. But anyway, I'll try and work on it and see how I can send it to you or post it here on the. But I have to still keep on working on this one. But it's just a fictional resume. You can see a whole lot of storytelling here on the resume. Let me expand. I think this is too big. So you can see Giant Technology. You can see storytelling. So this person is a senior finance manager at Giant Technology Canada. I can see, oh, she leads a team of 5, 4 office locations in UK, Nigeria, Mauritius, and UAE. So this is the kind of storytelling that we should say. Even if you're an account, let me stop presenting. So even if you are an account, hold on, please. Let me go back here. Okay, so even if you are an account payable, was it an account payable officer, something like that? What you can talk about when you're dealing with suppliers. How many suppliers do you deal with? Where are your suppliers from? Suppliers from UK, engineering supplies from UK and Canada. Put it here on your resume. Like there are just so many sweet things you can add, and you don't have to even think too much about it. You don't have to have the best job in the world or the even if you're not happy with your job. Bring positive, like I said, if you watch the first video that I posted here, positive energy is very key in your resume, and you have to be very confident to talk about what you are doing. It's very important. So even if that job you don't like your job, or let's say you even moved and you're currently working in a job that is paying you maybe $15 an hour. $15 is not even, it's lower than minimum. I think minimum wage, I'm not even sure what minimum wage is now, but let's say it's $16. When you're talking about your job, you're going to be so excited. Like, there should be energy from you, like you love what you do. Fine, after the interview, may I go and tell you for that yeah job, that nonsense job. But in the course of an interview or in the course of your resume, focus, make that job look like the best thing in the world. That's what storytelling is going to help you do. So I'm so happy. I'm sure that you've made a lot of changes. Our next video, I'll talk about how do you tailor a resume to your role. We'll talk about, I'll do a live resume review and I'll give you tips on applicant tracking system. I really can't wait to see what you're going to come up with your new resume. Please put your comments, tell me, okay, in the comment section, show me how you were able to revamp a bullet point. So this was the old bullet point and this is the new bullet point. And I'll try to give you a review. And if you want our services, please, let me go back to the contact again, consult@neemacareers.com. And you can also find our contact information in the below. So I really can't wait. And I'm so happy that I was able to do all these 4 videos at once. Hopefully my next videos, I'll try and see how to make these videos better for you. I just felt like Google Meet recording was going to be easiest way for me to get this done. I'll be happy to hear from you. And please let me know in the comment section, what are the areas you want me to talk about? What are the things you want me to talk about? If it even means me inviting somebody over, I'll be happy to do that for you, because everybody that watches this video has to level up in their careers. And please, if you know anyone that is going to be, this is going to be of benefit to, please share the videos. I have more coming. Interview series. I don't know how many to give. I might have to break that out into 2 as well. How to optimize your LinkedIn profile, maybe just be 1 video. Networking, 1 video, and then more videos are going to come up, come along. So I'm really excited, and thank you so much for watching. Please like, please subscribe, and also share to your friends. Have a wonderful evening, or whatever evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are.